Hello, everyone. Andy Fox here, and welcome to this edition of Inside the Investigation. We continue looking at the Colonial Parkway murders. We are looking at the death of David Knobling and Robin Edwards. They were the second of the Colonial Parkway killings. It happened in 1987. It was in September. And I want to give you, again, a background on exactly who we're talking about, the victims of the Colonial Parkway murders. The Colonial Parkway murders, 9 murders between 1986 and 1989. 1986, Rebecca Andowski and Kathy Thomas found murdered on October 12th after being last seen on October 9th, found on the Colonial Parkway. 1987, David Knobling and Robin Edwards found murdered on September 23rd after being last seen on September 19th. Ragged Island Wildlife Management Area. 1988, Cassandra Haley and Keith Call disappeared after a university party. Their car was found on the Colonial Parkway about a mile from the 1986 murders. Their bodies never found. In 1989, Anna Marie Phelps and Daniel Lauer disappeared, and their bodies were later found near a rest stop on I-64. And their bodies found off an old logging road. Also in 1989, Teresa Lynn Howe found murdered hours after leaving a club. We only know about Howe in the end because of her DNA connection to a suspect, Alan Wilmer Sr., identified in 2024 through DNA evidence and also linking him to the 1987 Ragged Island murders of Robin Edwards and David Knobling. And I am now joined with Janette Santiago, who is Robin's older sister. And I was just looking at Teresa Howe and how, you consider Teresa Howe, as I do, to be the 9th victim of the Colonial Parkway murders?
Yes.
Tell me about that. Why do you think that?
Well, the whole judgment this whole time was that it was possibly a single person that was responsible for all of the murders. And the fact that she was identified as a victim of him, I consider her part of us now. I told her.
Have you ever met her family?
I did.
Really? Tell me
Yes.
about that.
They were at the press conference that we had in January 24. And I met her daughter and her husband and some other family members, and they were amazing people. They talked about her some, and so it was.
Were they as shocked as you?
We were both shocked because I guess we didn't know about each other until that very day. So it was very interesting. Very interesting.
What did you all talk about?
Just our members of the family that were gone, and some background on her. I told her, I said, this is welcome to the family you never wanted to be part of.
Yeah, it's a club you don't want to be a
No.
But through all of your pain and your grief, DNA was able to connect the dots.
Yes.
That Robin had been sexually assaulted, so we had that.
Yeah.
We had Teresa, that DNA, and then we also had Alan Wilmer Sr.,
Yes.
who died alone.
Yep.
Miserable death.
Yes.
And because it was an unattended death, by law, thank God, you have to take DNA.
Yes.
Can you imagine had he died like on the water or something and he did not die alone?
No, we would never know. We would not be here.
Because they would not have taken his DNA.
No, he didn't ever have a opportunity for them to have had to take it prior to his death. So.
Now, Robin meant a lot to you.
Yes.
And you've lost a lot.
Yes.
But how are you remembering Robin? Tell us part of the story.
My baby girl is named after.
When you look at her, do you think of Robin?
Yeah.
Is she not completely like Robin?
No. No. No,
When we did the interview, you said January 18th, 2024, you said that she was a fire, nothing scared her, fearless, full of energy. What are the similarities between Robin, your sister, and Robin, your daughter?
oh,
And then what are the differences?
Robin's fearless, but she's very much a mama's girl and very cautious. I think all my girls are, you know, they had to be. So, um, they have the same spirit though, you know. Robin, my daughter, doesn't really have any enemies. Uh, she can make friends with anybody.
Did Robin, your sister, have enemies?
No, she made a friend out of everybody she met. So,
As we were talking before, in the last episode, the frustration that you felt with this investigation. You were all gathered up there at the news conference. What was the tenor of that news conference for you? Was it positive? Did you get all your questions answered? And what are the questions that you still want answered?
well, yes, we did get a lot of our questions answered. That really took place more when the investigator came to our house and gave us the news. We had the opportunity to spend, he was there for a couple hours with us, answering all of our questions and stuff. He was amazing to us that day.
What were the questions you had for?
I wanted to know more about him. I wanted to know the timeline on how they got to where they were.
We're looking at beautiful pictures of Robin, your sister. And that was our last interview right there on January 18th, 2024. You gave us these wonderful pictures, and then you always had to look at this.
Yeah.
The two of them always tied together now.
Yeah.
They really didn't know anyone. They didn't know each other before that
No.
night, right?
That was the first time.
How
we
did
met.
they come to be together?
Well, I guess when he put her in the front seat when it was raining and put the guys in the back of the pickup truck, they must have talked, and Robin wanted to fix everybody's problems. And so I think they kind of had a connection, and he was a good-looking guy. Robin was a very beautiful young lady, and they must have had some kind of spark.
Well, coming up, we're going to continue our conversation. We're going to delve more into the background of what was going on in the investigation, what has been shared with their family, and we will have more on that coming up. And welcome back, everyone. Andy Fox here. Inside the investigation, I've been covering the Colonial Parkway murders since I got here in 1986. I've been covering every single one of them and covering them a lot. And it just goes to show you, I have Janette here, Santiago, who is Robin Edwards' sister. And I've done so much reporting, in the little crosstalk we had during our break. You said, oh, by the way, do you know that I knew David Knobling? Bearing the lead on that. I did not know that. How did you meet David Knobling?
We went to elementary school together. He was in at least 2 or 3 of my school years in elementary school.
Tell me about David. What was he like?
He was a little geeky. He wasn't real popular at the time. I can remember him laying on the floor during one of the times that we were watching like a movie on the big screen, and they roll that big old cart in, and he was laying on the ground looking up this little girl's dress.
Oh, really?
Yes. Okay. And that's my biggest memory of him was,
And that was in what grade?
I want to say it was 4th or 5th.
4th or 5th grade.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
interesting. Now let's fast forward. When you found out that your sister, is now missing, last seen with David Knobling, what did you think about that?
I was shocked because, I knew he was my age, and it was shocking.
You see.
We hadn't seen each other since fifth grade. So, here you are, deja vu kind of.
So as all of this was going on, the detectives are at your house. Are they? Well, I don't know if they're at your house. They're at your mom's house, Bonnie's house, right? Is that right? Okay. And then, and what are they able to tell you about the crime scene and his truck and all of what was around Ragged Island? What were they able to tell you about that?
Well, they said that they found her shoes in the back of the truck, and I guess his shirt. They said that the car was running with the door open,
Key ignition, right?
windshield wipers going, but no signs of them. So,
And if we have video, Michael, if we can run the video of my doing the report, and I want to just let's go over what we know about what happened, how they were in the pickup truck, and they were Alan Wilmer Sr. And we'll talk about him and the connection to that. Here we are. This is Carl Knobling, David's father. He was out there, and there's that older picture of David Knobling. Carl has passed. That's the guy in the red shirt. He is the one who first told me that there were bodies found there. This is where David's truck was. I'm doing a stand-up right there showing people where that is. You see that path there. It is believed that David and Robin were marched down that path. There's some discrepancy. Maybe they went along
the outer way.
I think it was a direct shot right here, and then came down here. We know that David was shot in the shoulder and then the back of the head, and then Robin was shot in the head. She was also sexually assaulted, which would play a pivotal element in defining who the killer is, which is interesting. This was our last get together on January 18th. That's the picture of him and the wonderful pictures of Robin. And now you've named your daughter Robin after her. And what a great tribute. And once again, she's gone, but not forgotten for sure. And then what's this picture?
We were camping. My grandmother was with us.
How about that one?
That was her bathing suit that I didn't approve of.
Right. And then, being in your home is so wonderful. And thank you so much for giving us. And then we have Alan Wilmer Sr. We have to keep saying senior because there is a junior out there. So we always have to say that. But let me ask you again about the panic of what the detectives were telling you when they showed up at your house, to basically giving you the news that they're missing.
Well, he had called me the day before and said, I need to see you tomorrow. And we need to make it happen. I need you and your mom. And I'll meet you at your house. So we set a time, and he came by, and he was showing us his pictures, and he went through the timeline of how they got to where we were, and that his DNA matched, and that this was who killed her.
And I'm going to ask you more about that coming up after this break as we start piecing together inside the investigation of connecting DNA and showing science at work and going from this person to this person and this person. Oh, and by the way, these two people are dead and the DNA matches. How all of that played out coming up right after this. Back with Inside the Investigation, Janette Santiago here, Robin Edwards' sister. I remember the day, January 8th, 2024, January 8th, and I got word from a source, Andy, they got him. And I remember breaking the story that morning. And I always felt if someone's going to break the story, I felt like it was really nice that I was breaking that story because
Yes.
believe me, after covering this since 1986, it's, I think, the only good news I've ever reported on this. That was the only
Yeah.
good news.
Yeah.
How frustrated are you that it took so long to get that really good news?
Oh, a bit, but I'm glad at the same time that my mom was still alive to know. I'm glad that, because my dad passed away years ago, and
Did he die of a broken heart?
well, basically, he had a massive heart attack. So, yes,
But it always weighed on him.
yeah,
And Bonnie is still with us,
yes,
and obviously great relief with that.
yes.
When you were told, tell me about that day when you, about the news conference, you were telling me about your dog.
Yeah, she got lost, and
This is the day of the news conference.
yes, right in the middle of everything. And so we were trying frantically to find my 14-year-old little puppy.
Is this before you went to state police headquarters?
It was in the middle. We were literally,
So when we see that picture of you standing up there at the news conference, you're in the process of trying to find your dog?
yes, yes,
That's amazing.
yeah.
Tell me about the news conference. Did they answer your questions? And do you accept the fact that Alan Wilmer Sr. is responsible for all of the deaths of the Colonial Parkway murders?
I am about 75% convinced. I am more convinced that he is responsible for several of them. But absolutely 100% sure, no.
Well, Anna Maria Phelps and Daniel Lauer, that's the only one I was really concerned about because that was completely away from water. It was up
Yeah.
at the New Kent County rest area. But their skeletal remains were found on a logging road, and Alan Wilmer Sr. did have some connections to that piece of property. So, that's a place that he had visited. And do you buy into that might have been the connection that includes that as well?
Yeah, very possibly.
Because, Kathleen Thomas and Rebecca Andowski, Water, Colonial Parkway, Keith Call, Cassandra Haley, Colonial Parkway. Okay, right?
Yeah.
Watermen. We got a waterman here. And then, of course, Ragged Island,
Yeah.
Robin, David. And then we have this other one. But now, maybe that's the connection for that. At the news conference, what was not answered that you wanted answered? I remember I had a lot of, I was pressing them on some questions that needed to be answered, but have you heard anything since the news conference?
No. And my daughter Robin brought up a very good question. She wants to know when they raided the son's house, did they find anything? What did they find?
For Alan Wilmer Jr. Is that?
Yeah, they raided his house that morning. And the morning that we found out that we had a killer, they raided his house and they were there almost all day collecting evidence. So, we'd like to know what they found.
Have you reached out?
No, I need to. My daughter asked me this morning, did they ever tell us what they found, if they found anything? So I'd like to know that.
I will start checking on that. Interesting. When at the news conference, did you, other than your dog, did you feel a great sense of relief? Was
Yes.
it like turning the final page?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And getting to be able to share that with everybody. We were not supposed to share with anybody until the press conference.
And for the
wanted
record,
us-
you did not. I had to find it out through my own
Yeah.
sources.
Yeah.
We keep going about that. Go ahead. You were told not to talk about it.
Yep. And so, it was a relief to be able to share with the world that we found him.
I was going through some of my notes about Wilmer's background. Early suspect, FBI, got a search warrant, went to his house. He is spray painting his truck, bleaching the inside of his car. Okay, right? Given a polygraph, passes, search house, a lot of porn, guns, handcuffs. He denies everything. He admits to being a peeping Tom. Yeah, I was on the Parkway, but not that part of the Parkway as he approached. A lack of direct physical evidence, but he did pass the polygraph test. In all of that, how would you sum up the investigation for, what grade would you give this investigation?
A D.
Why a D?
Because they could have done more. I mean, bleaching your truck. Why would you need to do that?
And, they were also looking into the fact that there was a Peeping Tom incident up there, Peeping Tom. And he said, yeah, I was on the Parkway, but I was not on that part of the Parkway. He puts himself on the Parkway.
Yeah.
When you found out about that, what did you think about that as part of the investigation?
Craziness. I thought that was crazy. We could have had him a long time ago.
And Irv Wells, as I have mentioned, says that this was the biggest regret of his life. He was the FBI special agent in charge, and they set up the task force, and started doing. How do you think the task force did?
I don't think that they did very much. It didn't solve anything. And do we still have that task force? I don't know. I don't know.
What are the next steps to all of this? But just sum up for us where you are right now as a family.
Peace. We're at peace. I have 2 granddaughters right now that are 14. And I'm not as worried. Finally, I can breathe. I know that he can't hurt anybody else. And I'm not constantly looking over my shoulder anymore, wondering, is that the person? Is this the person? Could that be the person? So it's a great relief, actually.
How did Robin's death change you?
Broke my heart. It made me suspicious of everyone. Very cautious. Taught me to be more aware of my surroundings. I pay attention to people, places.
Well, Janette Santiago, thank you so much for speaking with us. And we've been speaking with Robin Edwards' sister, beloved sister. And it's been a long road. And I just want you to know, on behalf of 10 on Your Side, we pray always for you, and we think about you often, all of these victims. And we just thank you for coming in here to be part of this podcast.
Thank you.
Which is the second one I've done. I did the first one on another family, and then this one. Thank you so much for coming in and spending some time with us. So that kind of wraps up this episode of Inside the Investigation. Really enjoying doing this. Really enjoyed delving in and finding out what's going on behind the scenes. So keep watching. You can see previous coverage that we have had on the Colonial Parkway murders, and I'll see you on the next Inside the Investigation.